Lobe imali lingu-178 emalangeni. Kuthola umsola wendlela eliqala ngenyanga April 2025. Ecaleni lesikhombisa kuthola umsola ugceze kulelinye elikhaya endaweni yakudebedebe. Kuthola umsola webe impahla lefake ikhathi itincabule. Emafutha ekugcobisa lokubita imali lingu-177 emalangeni. Kuthola umsola wendlela eliqala ngenyanga ya June 2025. Ecaleni lesiphohlongo kuthola umsola ugceze kulelinye elikhaya endaweni yakamthokazi. Kuthola umsola webesibane sekukhanyisa lesibita imali lingu-178 emalangeni. Kuthola umsola wendlela eliqala ngenyanga ya June 2025. Inkantolo ibeseyitshela abatali balomsola libe bamelele. Kuthi ukwanyala itamkhulu labe sesandleni sabo. Inkantolo ithele umsola utawubuya enkantolo mhla ka-15 January 2026 kutodeka lelicala. Yamyala kuthi angakalinge endele obunye bucala. Kubika thando kuhle mdluli, Nhlangano.
Indvodza lebeyitihambela ngetinyawo ngalesithatfu Ntsambama yehlelwe lishwa ngesikhathi ishayiswe yaphindze yahuthulwa phansi ikhumbi lebeyihlehla ngesivinini. Lokhu kwenteke kulandzela kutsi yehluleke kukhuphuka umgcwa wasembangweni eMbabane. Sesichubeka nato tindzaba. Umsola lobeke licala lekugwaza umuntfu utsi akamgwazi ngenhloso kepha bebadlala wase ugwazeka ngeliphutsa kanti nalomukhwa abemphethe ngekuthi bekuyiwa emalobolweni. Lomsola uvele enkantolo yamanje enhlangano.
Umsola longuthando kuhle Shabangu loneminyaka lengama-30 wakumehlobovu uvele embi kwenkantolo yamanje enhlangano bekwalicala lekushaya ngenhloso yekulimata. Ngekusho kwamaphepha senkantolo lomsola ugwaza isimangalo ngesilimato lesikhaliphile kanye kuthola umsola wendlela elicala mhla til-12 kule nyanga yeNgongoni endzaweni yakumehlobovu. Inkantolo ibute lomsola ukuthi yini lesilimato lebekasiphethe. Lomsola uphendvule watsi ngumukhwa. Lomsola uchubeka watsi umukhwa behamba nawo emalobolweni. Nasibuta simangalo ukuthi yini lokuphetfwe ngumsola esikhomeni wase uyawukhipha. Lomsola uthi bebangali nesimangali kepha bebadlala ngeliphutsa sagwazeka esandleni. Inkantolo ithi kulokhu lokushiwo ngumsola ubheke ukuthi inkantolo imkholo yini kuyangani badlale ngemukhwa. Inkantolo ithi ingabe nasingabithwa simangali singavumelana yini nalokhu lokushiwo ngumsola. Lomsola uthi lokhu lakushiwo kuliciniso nesimangali singakufakazela. Inkantolo bese ithi sitawubithwa simangali kutofakaza kuleli cala. Lomsola ucele kutokela ngephandle kuleli cala. Inkantolo ithi lomsola utawukhipha imali ekutokela ngephandle lengu-1,000 emalangeni kanti sengakayikhiphi le mali utawuhlala ejele kutekushaye mhla tisikhombisa ngenyanga yaBhimbidvwane 2026 asamele kuteka leli cala mhla til-10 ngenyanga yeNdlovana 2026. Kubika thando kuhle mdluli, Nhlangano.
Ngakutemidlalo indvuna yetemidlalo Mhlonishwa Bonganzima ithi litiko letemidlalo letimisele ukuthi kusayiwa eminyakeni lomusha wa 2026 indzaba yenkhundla yesive kaSomhlolo batayisebenta kuze kufike esigcineni noma ke kugcineni lapho khona emacembu akuleli lokufaka ekhatsi likhetho lesive sihlangu semnikati akhona kudlalela imidlalo yawo lapha ekhaya. Imvuna beyikhuluma nalomsakato eMbabane.
Laba phasi kwelitiko letemidlalo nemasiko netindzaba tebantu labasha khisimusi lomuhle neminyaka lomushe lochakazile. Siyajabula kakhulu indlela lesibone ngayo usebenta kwelitiko lonyaka. Sibonile kutetemidlalo inkundla yakaSomhlolo National Stadium seyi-partially allowed ukuthi singayisebentisa. Sijabule kakhulu kusebenta kwalo litiko kuleyo phathi leyo kwekuthi kwati kubuyisa imidlalo event. Sikholelwa ukuthi kulolo tako umnyaka lesitawuthatha kusho ukuthi vele sitawuwenda lokusemandleni ukuthi vele le midlalo ayibuye fully event le midlalo le-international. Siphindze ke sibonge indlela lizinga lelikhuphuka ngayo etimbonini letahlukahlukene. Angibekise nje kuletematubane bokarate bo-taekwondo siyabona ama-medals esibuya nawo masiye ma-competitions la ngaphandle kwalelive. Siyajabula kakhulu indlela ama-athletes ethu lasebenta ngakhona kuphakamisa umjeka welive. Siyakuthokozela lokho kakhulu. Sifisa nje nalaba labasesengaphandle basadlala ukuthi vele abadlali batimisele babuye nato tindondo sitibhekile vele.
Sitephethelana ngolumhleta sekhaya sizawuthatha likhefu sibuya netindzaba temhlaba.
During this time of the year, people who struggle with mental health, that is when usually their conditions worsen.
One of the things around festive season is often the time of Christmas is that we expect people want to go home, that they're excited to be with their family, that there's going to be Christmas. But for people who have disrupted relationships with their family, it is often a very difficult time. I go home and there's tension, maybe I'm not talking to so-and-so, or maybe because to protect myself, I have to spend Christmas alone and not go home. So that can bring up a lot of grief, a lot of sadness, and difficult emotions for people to process.
Mbugeli Ekaya, it is very, very important to be aware of the season so that you can know how to regulate the season. Accept the uniqueness of your lane, embrace the uniqueness of your lane, and then celebrate the fact that you are alive.
Welcome back. In our international update, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has revealed details of the latest US-led plan to end the war in Ukraine, saying it had been agreed between negotiations from Kyiv and Washington and sent to Moscow for feedback. Zelensky said he was hoping for Moscow's answer by Wednesday.
A consensus plan with a long road to implementation. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has revealed the details of a 20-point draft hashed out with the U.S. aimed at ending Russia's now nearly 4-year-long war on his country. On defense, it calls for robust security guarantees from the U.S., Europe, and NATO, which Zelensky says would mirror NATO's Article 5 Mutual Defense Pact.
We will be able to see a strong Ukraine, supported by the coalition of the willing, with a mechanism to monitor compliance with peace and with specifics on how to respond to any potential renewal of aggression by Russia.
Though Ukraine will remain a non-nuclear state, the plan would maintain its armed forces at their current level of 800,000 personnel. Previous drafts negotiated by the U.S. and Russia had called for a dramatic reduction. On the economic and political agenda, Ukraine's eventual accession to the European Union, with quick preferential access to the European single market. Similarly, a free trade deal with the U.S., whose terms would apply to Russia as well. In the meantime, Ukraine will need a strong global development package, as well as recovery and reconstruction funding of some $800 billion. Key issues remain unresolved, notably who will manage and benefit from the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. The thorniest, though, will be territorial control of Ukraine's eastern Donbas region, a strategic industrial stronghold that Russia has unilaterally annexed but so far failed to fully capture. Zelensky says he's ready to pull Ukrainian defenders back to create demilitarized zones, but that Russian forces must withdraw from an equal amount of territory. Moscow, though, has shown no inclination to accept anything short of full control over the Donbass.
Sudan's Prime Minister has brought a wide-ranging peace plan before the United Nations, but the paramilitary group, the Rapid Support Forces, has yet to sign on to it, and experts say it is unlikely they will, as it demands their withdrawal and disarmament.
As Sudan's devastating conflict is close to entering its 1000th day, the country's Prime Minister brought his roadmap for peace before the United Nations.
Sudan seeks neither impunity nor endless war. It seeks a just peace anchored in law and safeguarded by the international community. You are the international community.
Idris's plan calls for a ceasefire monitored by the United Nations, the African Union and the Arab League. He demands that paramilitary forces withdraw from the areas they occupy in the west and south of the country, disarm and move to supervised camps. The conflict in Sudan broke out in April 2023 between the military and the RSF, or Rapid Support Forces. Experts on the region say the RSF are unlikely to sign on to this proposal, which would mean giving up their military power. The Trump administration has called for an immediate humanitarian truce without preconditions, while United Nations representatives criticize the country supplying arms to the warring sides and accuse the international community of ignoring the conflict.
Every day, we try to keep Sudan in the news. Why it's neglected, I think if the Secretary General were here, would probably tell you there's probably an element of racism, right? That people don't pay as much attention to crises in the global media, crises in Africa, as they do in other parts of the world.
According to United Nations estimates, the war has killed more than 40,000 people, although the true figure could be much higher. The conflict has created the world's worst humanitarian crisis, with over 14 million displaced.
Military officials from Thailand and Cambodia began talks on Wednesday. Both countries said days after the neighbors agreed to discuss a resumption of a ceasefire after 16 days of fierce border clashes that have killed at least 86 people. The talks come 2 days after a special meeting in Kuala Lumpur of Southeast Asian foreign ministries convened to try to salvage a truce first brokered by ASEAN chair Malaysia and US President Donald Trump after a previous round of clashes in July.
It's a return to dialogue after 16 days of fierce artillery fire exchange. Defense officials from Thailand and Cambodia are discussing the resumption of a previous ceasefire brokered by Malaysia and the US at the Ban Pakad Palin checkpoint south of their shared 817-kilometer border. Both countries have accused the other of breaking the previous truce. The decision to hold talks came on Monday following a meeting between ASEAN leaders in Kuala Lumpur, but the plan was off to a rocky start with disagreements over a neutral venue. Ahead of the meeting, Cambodia's defense ministry urged Thailand to cease all fighting.
Cambodia urged that Thailand immediately stop all hostile activity and withdraw its force from Cambodia in territorial integrity and avoid acts of incursion and aggression that threaten peace and stability in the region as a whole.
Cambodia is also reportedly pushing to include a formal border demarcation, a move which Thailand has rejected as a ceasefire remains its priority. Bangkok, on its part, is requesting an official halt to clashes monitored by observers and cooperation in demining conflict zones. The hostilities are part of the latest flare-up of a decades-old dispute over the colonial-era demarcation of their shared border. Despite the peace talks, fire exchange is ongoing as the neighbours accuse each other of hitting civilian areas in provinces along the frontier.
Hundreds of worshippers gathered for Mass at the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem Wednesday night as the Palestinian city ushered in its first festive Christmas in more than 2 years, emerging from the shadow of the war in Gaza. Throughout the conflict that began with Hamas' attack on Israel in October of 2023, a somber tone had marked Christmases in the biblical birthplace of Jesus Christ.
In Bethlehem Wednesday night, crowds of worshippers and a festive atmosphere outside the Church of the Nativity as Christmas celebrations in the biblical birthplace of Jesus returned after 2 years of absence.
This is a joyous chance for us to celebrate the Mass as Catholics.
This is by far the most special Christmas I've ever had, and I'm just so grateful. It's such a blessing to be here.
Inside, as he led the traditional midnight Mass, the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem could not avoid discussing the reason for the past 2 years' cancellations, the suffering and devastation in nearby Gaza under an Israeli siege that has killed tens of thousands, mostly civilians.
Clearly, despite the cessation of the war, suffering is still present in Gaza. Families live in the rubble, and the future appears fragile and uncertain. The wounds are deep.
And the ceasefire in Gaza remains extremely tenuous. Israel has continued to kill hundreds of Palestinians, including a number of small children, since it took effect in October. The West Bank, in which Bethlehem lies just south of Jerusalem, has seen its own fortunes worsen since the October 7, 2023 attack by Hamas that set off the war. Occupying Israeli forces have been conducting raids across the territory against what they say are militant cells. Meanwhile, land grabs and violent attacks by extremist Israeli settlers have been on the rise. Roughly 120 unofficial settler outposts have been installed over the past 2 years. 19 settlements have just been officially approved in a move the far-right cabinet of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says is aimed at burying the idea of a future Palestinian state.
And that is your Global Brief. After the break, we're in conversation with President of the Eswatini National Choral Music Association. Stay with us.
As we cross into 2025, Faith and Praise lead the way, featuring powerful performances by Gcina Masoko, Kusile Masilela, Ndoni and Sipho Makhabane.
Oh hallelujah, City hallelujah, oh hallelujah, who goes to church, Jinasika, Dumisa. Oh Kosia, oh hallelujah, who goes to church, yes, City hallelujah, Katana Katafite, City hallelujah.
Welcome back, Sibonga Khulungwane for staying with us at this Boxing Day. Now, this past weekend, actually, Eswatini won big. Specifically, Eswatini's local choirs won big at the Tirampane Foundation National Choral Estate Ford 2025 finale that was held in South Africa. We had 5 choirs representing the kingdom, mainly Manzini Choir, Dolce Chorus, His Majesty's Congregational Service Choir, Pure Voices, and of course the Mbabane Methodist Choir. Now, we just want to get a picture of the choral music industry in the country. Yes, our local choirs won, but really how significant is it? What does it really mean for the choral music in the country? And now we'll speak to Sihle Kumbi, who is the president of the Eswatini National Choral Music Association, who joins me in studio. Mr. Kumbi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. Glad to have you with us. So this weekend, the last weekend, we walked away, Eswatini actually walked away with about 290,000 malangeni in prize money from a competitive event in South Africa. Allow me to call it a regional or SADC choral event. How big is this moment for the country, for choral music, when you look at it as the association?
We are very much pleased with what we have achieved. Well, it's a first of its kind. Maybe one can bring you into the picture of how the categories were.
Okay.
There were 3 categories: standard section, standard category, large category, and champ of champs. In soccer, I'll call the standard category National First Division. Then the large category, Premier League. Then the champ of champs. They are like UEFA, something like that. So what happened in the standard category, we were represented by Pure Voices.
Okay.
In the large categories, we were represented by 3 choirs, which is Mbabane Methodist Church Choir, Dolce Harmony Chorus, and Manzini Choir. Then the champs category, Bosondonzima Labo, represented by His Majesty's Congregational Services Choir.
I like how you are giving us, for some of us who are not so well, who don't have much clarity when it comes to the choral music, for some of our viewers anyway, But now take us through the process. You know, having to be choirs from a small kingdom, but now here we are, we're getting the exposure. What did it take ukuthi mhlambe lama choir akhone kumelela live in the manner that they have?
One would first like to thank you guys, the media. Well, you've played a huge role in terms of marketing choral music. You know, firstly, we prepared ourselves. Actually, there are 9 provinces in South Africa, right?
Yes.
There were elimination stages where it was more of a league system. It's South Africa with the 9 provinces, Eswatini, that's 10, Zimbabwe, 11, Botswana, 12, Lesotho, 13.
So it means the competition was tough, eh?
Very tough, very tough. So at first there were more than 100 choirs when eliminating throughout those provinces.
Including Eswatini?
Including Eswatini.
Were competing among over 90 more?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, in the league system. So what happened is we were eliminating at by and large 12 October.
Yeah, okay.
I think the competition started around August in Gauteng, where close to 20 choirs were competing in Gauteng. And unfortunately, I would say fortunately for us, only 3 qualified to make it to the finals. What I'm happy about Eswatini is the fact that Eswatini is the only province that took more choirs to the finals. Taking 5 choirs, the next province that took 5 choirs was Gauteng. They took only 3. So we're very happy about that. So we're eliminated and the 5 choirs qualified for the finals. And to us, it became a huge achievement, first of its kind, to take such a number. Last year we had 3 to the finals.
Yeah.
Last year we had 3 to the finals, and His Majesty's Correctional Service got position 2, and Royal Eswatini Police Choir got position 2. So those 2 qualified 1 last year with position 2, large category, and position 2, Champ of Champs category, respectively.
Right. 5 choirs, local choirs competing in that, you know, in a competition of this magnitude. The representation, what does it speak to when it comes to nasobuga le choral music in the country?
Choral music is growing very, very fast. Choral music is growing very, very fast. One would like to appreciate the office of the Eswatini Council of Arts and Culture, whom they've supported us. We've held workshops, we've trained conductors, we've trained choir admins, because that's where it starts. It starts on the admin part of it, in terms of how do you prepare your choir for the competition.
Yes.
How do you get funding? How do you go around to make things happen for your choir? So the choirs were well equipped in terms of how to run the choirs. So that's where it started, and Arts and Culture funded those workshops, trained conductors. So that's where the competition started.
Right.
So yeah, that's where we started.
For the conductors, what does it take to have a team strong enough to compete, not only at national level? We're not only competing with South Africa, we're competing with the whole of South Africa, but also other countries in the region, because given this victory, from here on, Eswatini choral music cannot afford to drop the ball.
Exactly. Choral music, we can't drop the ball now. Previously, it was known that choral music in the SADC region is run in Gauteng. Things have changed for the past 2-3 years. Eswatini is now leading in choral music. So, as a conductor, you need to know, first of all, you need to read the script on what is netted there. You need to analyze the copy that you're given of that music. You need to treat it the way it should be treated. Once you do that, you're on the right path, because what sometimes kills choirs is the interpretation of the song. You find that some choirs don't interpret the song correctly. For instance, one other thing that we're happy about as Eswatini, we've got good composers of Eswatini now, and our songs are being sang throughout SADC.
Right.
There was one song which was sang by Pure Voices, Kusile. They were wearing our Swazi relica. That choir, most of the choirs, because there were a pool of songs that you have to choose from. So I'm happy that our choirs, Pure Voices, and some other choirs that didn't make it to the final, chose the Kusekaya piece. Because you know that song is composed by Eswazi, you can interpret it very, very correctly. So what happened at the finals, some choirs, they find themselves not interpreting the song correctly. Because you don't even know the language, first of all. You need to know the language and understand what do they really want on it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, as you are responding, I'm just trying to picture myself in that auditorium. And now I'm here sitting with you live. Your passion, you're not just president. You follow through. You know the creativity, the art behind choral music. And you've just said, Gutsi, we are leading. Eswatini is leading when it comes to choral music. What have we done differently? What are the lessons that we've taken from perhaps 5 years ago or 10 to see choral music to the level
we usually undermine ourselves. We are undermining ourselves that we can't. We gave full respect of South African choirs too much, that they don't deserve. And the Office of Arts and Culture created a competition, Jilo competition. Jilo competition is a competition we say strictly eMaswati, because we usually go to hire South Africans to come and sing solo for us. But the Jilo competition is a competition that says strictly eMaswati. That's why we gave platform to our own soloists, because with no hiring there, it's only eMaswati. That's why we gave our own. That's why we discovered that, hey, look guys, man, we've got our own talent here. Let's lift our heads up. Let's push. While I was telling you that the interpretation, there's this part of the song, say it's Sive Nkosi. So you find some Zimbabwe choirs, Sive, no. So our choirs, they did like this, Sive Nkosi, the facial expression. So that's the interpretation we're talking about.
They tell the story even
They tell the story, yes.
I just had that note there. I think I might have to give you 5 minutes after this, just so you know.
I retired before I became the president, so I'm now watching from afar.
Right. The Great Champions category was won by His Majesty's Correctional Services, and I take it this has been described as one of the biggest categories in the entire region.
Yeah.
What does it mean for us, really, to scoop such a category, you know, such an award, to be on a top on a great category? You did say Bosondo Nzima.
Yeah. Honestly speaking, without fear, His Majesty's Correctional Services is just on its level in the SADC region. On its level. Because we had people talking after the comedy. Actually, after their first performance on Saturday, people said, that's what they usually say, because we came all out there, and we knew very well that His Majesty's Correctional Services won't disappoint in that section, because currently His Majesty's Correctional Services is the best in the SADC region.
What makes you say that? What's that thing that they have that somebody from the outside world cannot put a finger on it, but you say but the hambela bofana? What makes you say that?
Okay, one, the results themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, the results themselves, they tell you a story that these guys are on another level. And in this past competition, usually you find that you are position 1 overall, but you are position 2 or position 3 in another song. Then when you bring back both results, they give you position 1. His Majesty just won everything. They were position 1 Western piece, they were position 1 African piece. They were just on a different level. And it takes for a huge sacrifice in terms of preparations. You need to prepare yourself very well for things to happen.
Right. In terms of the numbers, the choir achieved the highest score in the category with 93.39 points, ahead of a choir from the SNK Police and Kopano Chorus. Take us through the grading system. What do these numbers say? Because at Klasini, you get 100%, you're good to go. But here we are saying, His Majesty's Correctional Services garnered themselves this much in terms of points. How does the system work?
Okay. Usually, when you have made it, it's every choir stream to reach a platinum. We call it platinum. That's 90%. A few, very, very few choirs reach that limit. Some choirs have never, ever reached that. So it's very, very hard for a choir to reach 90 marks.
At regional level, even?
In any level. To reach 90 marks, it's not an easy. It's not very, very easy. You need to perform extremely, extremely well.
Right.
So His Majesty's Correctional Services, they both reach platinum in both songs.
If not platinum, then what's the average target when as a choir we want to perform? Yes, we want to reach platinum, but in terms of harmonizing, in terms of melody, siyafika in 90. When we go out there, siyaye sibe sestikhala ukuthi nasingamane sikale bani sishaye bani.
The problem with kukala umuntu is the fact that you won't achieve what you want, because if that person is a bit low on the day, maybe say that person got 78, so when you're targeting 79, so that won't take you through. As I've said earlier, that it was a league system. Even when we were doing the eliminations, we were not competing amongst ourselves. We were competing about reaching certain marks to be on the log in order for us to qualify for the finals. So targeting an individual is not an option. You need to target for marks. You need to target, if I get at least 85, I can be good.
Right.
Yeah.
And what do you think sets Emakwaya Alagangwane apart, technically and artistically, given that, we got to, I'll say we, with pride, fools.
Yeah.
We got to participate at such regional level. Not only participate, but win.
Yeah.
What do you think then sets us apart? And nabalalele labalabahlunga or the adjudicators, when they were listening, what exactly were they listening to?
Okay. What makes us different is the passion that we have as Eswatini for choral music. In South Africa of late, they respected choral music before.
Right.
But they don't have that passion that we have currently as Eswatini. For instance, we will, around May, end of May, we'll be having a standard pack competition.
Yes.
So in South Africa, they don't have standing competitions. You understand?
Okay.
So our choirs will be opening in January or end of January, the latest, preparing for the standard pack competition.
So that means they're challenged regularly.
So we're always together as Eswatini. We're always together. We're always united. We're always rehearsing. So in South Africa, you'll find that they'll start gathering around June. Hey, there's TMF coming. Let's just start preparing. Kanzitsini, we've been constant. We have 3 competitions a year. So it makes us busy the whole year. It makes the voices abaqhubeka sebenza. So that's what makes us different.
And not only do you have the passion, but judging by the results, you definitely brought the competition. So when people think of music success, we think local artists, with artist A who's made it big in South Africa or in any other part of the world. How then do you position choral music as umculo lo serious with a discipline, a very unique discipline type of music, but highly skilled and of course competitive?
Okay. My CEO of Arts and Culture always say, there's no artist who didn't start to choral music.
Is it?
Come to R&B, come to gospel. Choral music is the base.
Okay.
It's the base. This Linda Lamin, the gospel's guy. He's a former chorist of Manzini Choir. So that's where they start. That's the base of choral music. And what makes choral music unique is it's how we do things. It's how we present. It's how we present it. And one thing about choral music is the fact that choral music makes a lot of people benefit out of it. For instance, if there's a competition, a makeup artist will benefit. Tailors will benefit. Salons will benefit.
Okay.
So a lot of people benefit through choral music. Yeah.
And I'll ask again. I'm still trying to, get the understanding of the adjudicators, because from the outside it all sounds the same. We can sing one song, but it all sounds the same. The one thing I will see is, well, they're dressed nice, they look pretty, they look decent, quite presentable, but umlaleli, what really, because they are singing, yes, by merger, by Ivana, conductors also, in communication with the entire choir. But what really is the music to the ears when we talk of choral?
Okay. First of all, when you're an adjudicator, I myself, I can feel like it's fanana in one can win. You need to go and study music first. To have at least a degree in music. Then you'll understand. You'll be able to judge the difference of this choir and this choir. So it calls for you to study music, know the music. Not everyone can adjudicate. Hence, even in our competitions here that we host in the country, we usually go outside the country to go and solicit adjudicators for the event. Because I myself, as the president, I have a choir as well. Because all our exco, my exco, were from different choirs. I've got my choir as well. I don't want that if my choir wins, they'll say, finally choir president. Hence, you need to get someone to give you the perfect results.
Right.
Yes.
You talked about how there has to be communication between the choir and the conductor. When you look at discipline, training, and structure, how important are those elements in the success of choral music?
You know what? You cannot succeed if your admin is very poor. If you don't have a proper structure in your choir. It calls for you to have a proper structure. It calls for you to have a good conductor who knows music, who knows to let that killer up. Because if I give you a copy, you won't even know what's going to be log. You understand? So you need to get someone who is well equipped in terms of knowing that music, know who funds a copy. So it calls for you to be an admin legacy. Let us organize things. Hence, I've said earlier that we had workshops to equip choir administrators. How can you run a choir up until the end?
Right. And when it comes to composing, you mentioned how we have great composers in the country. What does it take to compose a song fit for choral music? I take it's not the same as a song that, excuse me, that any other artist would sing, whether from R&B or hip hop or a poet. Actually, you know the stanza 1, 2, and 3, then you need to rhyme. But when it comes to choral music, if I picked up a pen and I wanted to jot down some lyrics for choral, what exactly should I take into thought?
Thank you so much. After the Choral Music Association collaborated with the Composers Forum, we gave them the platform that, look guys, we want to market our music as a country. And we've achieved that. As I've said earlier, that our music is now played throughout the SADC region. And you can come as yourself and say, look, I want you to compose a song about Eswatini TV. Just put in this information, then give it to them. They'll give you something very, very magnificent.
Right.
Very, very sober.
Right.
So it's their artwork. I won't lie, I don't know how these guys do it, but I'm happy with their work. Because we're not gifted the same. I myself as president, I'm gifted in being the admin. I'm gifted in leading the choirs. Some people are gifted in conducting. Some people are gifted in composing.
Right.
So if you bring back those things together, that's what makes us to where we are currently.
Right. And you say we're not gifted the same, which is true, because not all of us can sing.
Yeah.
I myself,
no,
I don't think I make a good singer. But what does it really take to be a chorister? Because maybe Livila Mangetwa is not make sure. But let's say Sengena with 1, 2, and 3 individuals, then we sing, then we blend. The choirs, how do they come to the understanding that, okay, we need to have Kusile as one of our sopranos or alto. How does it really work when it comes to putting a choir together? Who are we looking for? What's the kind of voice and touch to that vocal that we're looking for?
Okay, let me just take you a bit about myself. I've been singing at school years ago, 20 years ago, with Evelyn Perrin. After I finished up my high school, I just led the Kusile. And I developed love in choral music once again. I went to competitions and I felt the love again. I looked for a choir. I remember it was 2006, I went to Sweet Sounds, Machokoza's BS choir. But he auditioned me. I sang, I said, your voice is not good. It's not good for my choir. And I felt very, very bad. And he said, but come, let's work on it.
Okay.
That's where I am. You can come as you are, but your voice can be trained to what we want it to be. Yeah.
Right. And because you didn't really have the interest in choral music, but when you look at yourself, your younger self versus now, do you think choral music is an issue of, is a matter of passion, a later developed passion, or a natural gift?
Passion.
Right.
You know, if you don't know choral music and if you don't have a passion about it, you'll feel differently towards it. So you need to have the passion about it. And most of the fans that we have now current in choral music, they didn't understand choral music. They didn't love choral music. But they went once or twice and they felt in love. Now they are the ones who are asking, when is the next competition? I want to go and watch competitions. That's that's the passion I'm talking about. Yeah.
And behind the scenes of every and any competition, sure, we have the choir, they can sing. But for them, the individuals, what really goes into preparing for any artist? Drink water and you're good. I mean, you're naturally gifted, you have the voice so you can sing. But is there more to it than just water? Go see, you know what, you drink water, you go on stage, you'll sing, you'll be fine. What else goes in there?
Hey, there's a lot. There's a lot. You can't just tell yourself that you're going to be a choral music star. Yeah. There's this pipe here that needs to be smooth all the time. Hence, before competitions, you find people banata ginger to try and soften up. You might find yourself cracking during the competition. Go crack and also leave it was a performer. So you need to take care of your voice in such a way that when you are going to the competitions, Maxela Passin, it's quiet, no shouting, nothing. Because shouting go down at the level, when you perform. There are high notes when you need to scream, go up. You understand? So it calls for you, we would say, very, very disciplined. You don't have to lose luck on it.
Okay.
We've got the people of Tandozwane who are currently in Europe through choral music. Yes.
You know, looking at how you mentioned Gutsi throughout the year, the choristers in the country, busy local competitions.
Yeah.
And then here we are now claiming victory at regional level. Holistically, what era is Eswatini choral music in right now? In terms of development, in terms of improvements, in terms of, you know, when you look at it from an artistic standpoint?
Okay. As president of choral music in the country, Mangena office, my achievement was that I need to take choral music in the country to the higher level. And I want to take choirs to be recognized outside the country. And I've achieved that. And where we are currently, we're on the top notch. It's very, very difficult for you to maintain a higher level. Because now, very limelight, and they knew very well, we would say, I had Maswati, I had to Stansula.
And they brought the heat.
And they brought the heat. There was one competition last year, which was called Battle of the Nations.
Okay.
It was Eswatini versus South Africa, where there was 500,000 on stake.
Right.
There were 3 choirs from Eswatini, 3 choirs from South Africa. We took that one. We took that 500,000. That's where they started to recognize Eswatini.
Right.
Yeah.
In 30 seconds, young people are drawn to modern genres, genres rather, how do you think we can keep choral music relevant to the youth and develop it at the same time? 30 seconds.
What I would like to thank Schools Choral Music Association. They are doing a good job of grooming these young kids, because then from there they're going to high school, from high school they're going to the big choirs. So we thank that.
Right, thank you very much, Kumbi. That was Sihle Kumbi, who's president of the Eswatini National Choral Music Association. We're discussing the recent win Yemakwayala Eswatini lapho khona bekachuthelene eTirampane Foundation National Choral Estate Ford in 2025 finale libebanjele eveni lase South Africa. 2 of our choirs clinched top spot in 2 different categories, and then we also had Mbabane Methodist Choir finishing third place at large category, walking away with at least 60,000 Emalang. And I really do look forward to the future, or what choral music actually would look like in the next 5-10 years or so. This is Kusile Professional. We'll wrap it up here on Boxing Day. Thank you very much for staying with us. Until next time, bye.